Hello, I'm Roger Armstrong, and I'm a psychic child that was born in 1930. Now, in 1933, the Great Depression was still going on. And my mom was away from home a lot because she was out making money in bridge tournaments. She was an excellent bridge player, and so she was making money for our rent and for our food. My dad's laundry business was marginal at that time, and he was trying to keep all his workers in salary having money. Now, being alone when you're 3 wasn't too bad for me because I had friends that came and visited. Now, my friends were adults, and they would just appear to play with me. And we would play games like touch your leg and move that muscle without moving your leg. They would play games with me like stand on your leg like a bird and have your eye move around the shadow. They would play games with me like picture your truck moving across the room away from you. Now picture it coming towards you. And we would do that all afternoon. Now, my mom heard those stories, and they were concerned about leaving me home alone anyway. So they decided to send me out to my grandpa's farm and be with my grandpa. Now, my grandpa was an old country farmer from Finland. And so he was aware of the old myths and stories. So when I came out, we talked about everything, and he treated me as if I was an adult, and he would ask me questions. How do we do this? How do we do that? And we would work through the whole problem and problem solving. He said a lot of Finns had problems with their temper, because after all, we were Vikings, and we're from Viking blood, and it's Vikings that go berserk in battle. But they did learn, when they weren't in battle, to control their anger. So we talked about and practiced ways how to contain my anger and to release it, but not release it towards people. We also followed through with the games that my friends taught me. And one of the games that Grandpa had me do was to roll a ball on the path to the barn, and I would keep the ball rolling just with the power of my mind. And I could run all over the yard pushing the ball ahead of me without touching it. These were the kinds of things that we did. He also showed me, or taught me, how to lift things. And since I was little, and a lot of the things I had to lift were big, he said if I pictured them in my mind, if I saw a picture of them as being lighter, I would be able to lift them. And we talked about you have to be careful not to take all the weight off. Like if you're scooping manure in the barn, you certainly don't want the manure floating around. And we laughed and laughed and laughed about those kinds of stories. So everything you picked up needed to have weight, but it should be light enough that you could handle it easily. Later on, when I was older and we would go to the feed mill, and I was 10 years old, and I would move 100-pound grains of sacks of grain, rather. And then the millmen would go to pick it up, and they would be astonished that it was a 100-pound sack of grain. And they would say to my grandpa, "Oh, your grandson is so strong." And he would laugh, and he said, "Yes, he's a Viking turned farmer." Now, there were times that Grandpa had things to do and didn't want me underfoot. So he would have me go to the spring near his woods. He had 300 acres near his woods, And out of the hill, coming from several boulders, was a fresh, sweet water spring. And it had a basin of rocks, and in the basin, the surface was covered with watercress. Now, behind the hill, there was a fairy ring. Now, a fairy ring is a ring with mushrooms around the edges, clear inside the ring, except for several mounds of moss. And the moss grows on top of each other, so it's like a stool. And there's always a tall one and several shorter ones. And in the old myths, in many cultures, that's the place where the little people are. Now, I would go there and picture animals coming to teach me. And they would. And on the edge would be a fox, be mice, rabbits, squirrels. And they each in their turn would tell me things in pictures. And I would tell them my stories in pictures also. The one they liked the best was the time that I reached down to pick watercress and fell in the pond head over heels. They just laughed and laughed and laughed at that. Now, when it was time to go home, I could hear Winnie the cow, because she had a bell on her, and she would come up to the pond. So I'd get my watercress. When her head was down, I grabbed a hold of her horns, or one horn, make myself lighter, and when she lifted up her head, I would swing on her back. And then we would go to the barn, her cowbell dinging, and 65 other cows following us. Several times I saw the fox watching. Those were the types of things that Grandpa had me do. And those were the experiences that I had as this psychic child. Now later on, I could do more things. But as it was, when we milked, I could feed all the cows because he liked to feed them as they were being milked. I could talk to the cows with pictures, and we found out that when I talked with them, they gave more milk. So Grandpa encouraged me to walk around and picture to the cows. Those were good times. Those were good times. And I learned with my grandpa how to control my anger. And we set forth a whole series of rules that if you have special abilities like I had, and if they were developed like they should be, you needed to control them and to hide them, because most people just didn't understand. And that's why it was important to have things have weight. Yeah, my grandpa and I had all kinds of secrets. He was a marvelous man. Well, I hope you enjoyed my story. And I have many more that will be on my website. And that's wasapsychicchild.com. Now, the whole purpose of this is I'm interested in meeting other Was a Psychic Child people. I gave a talk at the Metaphysical Library in Ashland, Oregon, and I met 3. And in my whole life of 77 years before that, I only met 1. So we're out there. And I think it's a good time in the culture that we're all living in now that we tell our stories and we help the new young psychic children that are developing. So write your story. It's bound to be a good one.
Hello, my name's Peter Melton. For years I've been searching for a way to understand oneness. And that came to me through many different ways over the years, but in particular through an analogy that I put into a children's book of sorts, a spiritual fable called Waves of Oneness. I'd like to read that to you now, so come on over here and join me. Waves of Oneness, a tale of two waves remembering they are one. By Peter Melton, that's me. Illustrations by Travis Marshall Walsh. Once upon a timeless moment, before there was such a thing as time, there was a huge ocean that splashed all around on a beautiful planet. One day the ocean laughed as it overheard two of the splashes talking. "Get away! Quit chasing me! You're scaring me!" said a small wave to the larger wave behind it. "Sorry, I didn't mean to scare you," replied the bigger wave. "But you're so big, and you keep following me." "It might look like I'm big and scary, but to the ocean, we're all part of one big show," said the big wave. "What's an ocean? What are you talking about?" asked the little wave. "Well, in order to answer that, I'll need to explain a few things," said the big wave. "Explain a few things?" "Yes, you see, there's more going on than you think, and how you look at things is very important." "How I look at things?" "Yes, your life is happening in two different ways at the same time. Both ways are real, and both are true." "How does that work?" "Well, there's an individual point of view where it seems like little you is over there and big scary me is over here. You think we are separate waves, and so that is true for you," the big wave said. "So what's the other way?" "The other way is called the big picture, or the unified point of view. In the unified story, you are aware of yourself as both the ocean and one of the waves it has created." "What's an ocean? Where is this ocean?" "The ocean is all around us. It's a huge body of water." "Water? What's water?" "Water is what we're made of, and it's what the ocean is made of too. When this water-filled ocean expresses itself, it creates all of us watery waves." "How do you know all of this?" "I'm not sure how I know it," said the big wave. "It's just something that feels true to me." "How come I can't see the water?" Well, that's what I'm trying to explain. You see, you are the ocean and you are a wave that the ocean created." "Wait a minute. If I'm the ocean and a wave, then how come I only feel like I'm a wave?" asked the little wave. "Well, that takes us back to how you look at things. If you look at life the separate way, then it's really hard to feel the unified way." "How come I don't know any of this?" "Sometimes we remember and sometimes we forget." "Well, I want to remember more." "Yes, we all do. But in order to feel the joy of remembering, we have to forget something first. What we forgot was who we really are." "Who we really are? Are you trying to tell me that I'm a little wave who forgot that I'm also the big ocean?" "Yep, that's what I think. How does that feel to you?" asked the big wave. "It feels true, but yeah, I think I feel that remembering thing right now." "Does it feel good?" "Yes, I feel great. I want to feel like this all the time." "You can, but you can only remember again if you choose to forget again." "So that I can remember again?" "Yes." Hey, this remembering and forgetting thing, when does it end?" "Well, that's another great question. Once again, it depends on how you look at things. From the unified point of view, this goes on forever, and you're glad it does because it's so much fun," says the big wave. "Well, what happens when I'm separate?" "Well, when you experience yourself as separate, you only remember and forget until your time as an individual wave is done." "Well, what happens when I'm not a wave anymore?" asked the little wave. "Well, as you crash on the shore, the wave you were blends back into the ocean that you are." Oh, I get it now. The wave part of me will join with the ocean part of me. Yes, we're all waves, and we're one great ocean. Just splashing around, remembering and forgetting? Just splashing around on this journey of remembering. And forgetting again, I suppose. Probably, said the big wave. I love you, said the little wave. I love you too. But wait, if I'm connected to you, then I love us. I mean, we love us. Yes, you're getting it. Yes, we do, replied the big wave. Hey, look, here comes the shore. Is it my time? I'm kind of scared. It's okay to be scared. You'll be fine, said the big wave. Okay, here I go. Whee! Hey, little wave. Are you there, little wave? Yes, I'm here. I'm still here. This is great. I was a wave and now I'm the ocean. What's an ocean? Asked the big wave. The ocean laughed to itself. A new wave was created and a new timeless moment began. And that's the story of the waves of oneness.
So I'm Ed Polish. This is a room in my house. It's stuff I've been collecting for many years, but it's not really my collection. It's your collection. It's everybody's collection. It's kind of pop culture. It's all media related. It's all from the second half of the 20th century, from 1950 to the year 2000. It's all, which is pretty much within my lifetime. The year 2000 came about, and it was a new century, so I decided that, this is really all about the 20th century, so that's important to know. And there's not one single thing here that isn't connected to something in media. There's no generic characters. When you look at this, it's not just a bird, it's Tweety Bird. It's a Warner Brothers cartoon, and it has many, many associations beyond just a plastic toy. Whereas I do have a few generic. This isn't anybody. This is just a stupid toy, and if you squeeze him, his eyes go around, and this is a rarity. It's just a goofy little something. But everything else, Mr. Peanut is not just a hunk of plastic. It's not just a guy dressed as a top hat. It's Planter's Peanuts. So that's the criteria. It's advertising, movies, comic books, cartoons, movies, politics, Star Wars, television. Here's the banned in America Bart Simpson's bubble bath because he's naked. You ever see this one? And any questions?
Ed, do you have any particular favorite toys or areas of collecting?
People commonly ask me if I have a common or a favorite toy, and to me that's not a fair question. I don't have any favorites. It's just the overall gestalt of the whole collection. One thing by itself is interesting, but it's everything together that makes it fascinating. It's kind of like I'm a big movie fan, and somebody says, well, what's your favorite movie? I say, forget it, I'm not going to answer that because it's just, there's too many. So, one day I could like Mr. Natural, another day it would be the Dr. Seuss characters, or here's General Colin Powell. So it's all of it. It's the whole thing. These are all bubble baths here. Every single one of them holds or half hold bubble baths, and they're all I would say there are some ones I like more than others, such as the Monsters, the Beatles. They only did Paul and Ringo, which they considered the two cuter ones, I guess. And but then again, the having all the others is great too. So.
What would you consider your rarest things, the hardest to find or most unique?
Rarity isn't important. It's like something that could be the most common thing in the world, like Planter's Peanut. Just the way it looks, just because who it is, would be just as significant to me as something that was incredibly rare, just because it's more about the aesthetics of it than the rarity, and that's kind of important to me too. And I stopped, actually another significant thing is I stopped collecting about the time that eBay and the internet became prevalent. None of this was bought on eBay. None of it was bought online. It was all bought from stores, or more likely garage sales, flea markets, whatever. And it was built, the fun was in the search. If it was used and played with, that was better for me than if it was something I bought in a store. The whole concept of mint in the box that you can never remove from the box is not appealing to me. Value, I'm aware of value, but it's not important. I'm not a dealer, and it's purely, it's the joy of it more than value.
So since aesthetics are the most important thing, can you point out some of the most uniquely aesthetic things that you'd like our audience to be aware of?
Well, the Dr. Seuss things. I did grow up on Dr. Seuss, and I think the Dr. Seuss pieces are beautifully rendered, and his artwork is incredibly nice. The Nightmare Before Christmas toys are beautifully done, and but then there's all all the bubble bath containers are beautiful. The advertising stuff is beautiful to me because it's the sickest part of pop culture, to get somebody to buy Ritalin drugs for their kid, and having a little guy. This is Mr. Ritalin. And this was given to doctors to put on their desk. So when parents would come in for consultations, the doctor would say, "Oh, your child needs a Ritalin." So
That is a little twisted.
this is definitely one of the top twisted on many levels. Aesthetically, it's beautiful too.